I have to be.
Like this is the first meeting of the year, but it's not. Welcome. Nice to see the crowd here. We have a new member, a returning member. We have people I haven't seen in a while. It's great to see the club is building a little bit more momentum. I mailed out the survey, the raw survey to everybody. Leadership is going through the themes for competition. We should be able to get those out in the next week. We're trying to get themes that are both challenging but possible for people to achieve. Let's say we won't include aerial photography, drone photography. The next thing is there's a Texas Photo Festival in Georgetown in March. If I had 3 or 4 volunteers, we could probably have a table up there and recruit a few new members. I'd like to see email from folks that want to volunteer or our hands right here. Okay.
What week is it? What day is it?
21.
21.
21.
What's the date on
The 21st, one day.
Yeah,
One day in Georgetown.
March 21.
And if we get a bunch of volunteers, we can have it, 30 minutes or an hour. I'll probably bring, if we get volunteers and get approved, I'll bring an easy up so we have something to kind of pin down our location. We have a show open at Gesture Center up in Round Rock. You're supposed to be quiet. The quiet one.
It was being called.
Merlin, you want to tell us about this show and our options there? Options. Not stock options. Options of whether we show up or not.
Yeah, that's about our options. So they obviously decided they're not going to let us use the conference rooms and have the traditional reception. Apparently this was new even to the coordinator from Round Rock. So we don't get a reception that way. So do we all want to pick a day and show up and do a gallery walk? So if you do, then email me, respond to the email about it. Well, I figure there's people who aren't here that might want to, so, yeah.
Yes,
Right
I
after-
do want to.
Okay.
It's a GSWAF, but thank you, Vernon, for putting my pictures there, and I certainly want to meet with you.
Yeah. Well, we could certainly do that, but if anybody wants to do the photo walk, let me know. I'll send an email out and respond to that, and we'll coordinate it, but it'll probably be a Friday afternoon around 4 o'clock. And
the pictures are up until March.
it's 15 to 20, something like that. That is on the website though. Yeah.
We'll just hand your microphone to Patrick.
Hello. So for speakers, oh, somebody waved. They actually paid attention to me. Okay, cool. Okay, speakers. We have. I'm filling in from the crowd, the club first. So on the 19th of this month, we have Stephen Burkich. Stephen will be talking about his bird photography and the mechanisms of doing so. And if you really raise your hand and say, really, we want to hear about bears, no, never. So he'll be doing birds. March is open at the moment. And I just got Larry Fowle to agree to do April. And that topic is open at the moment, but he's deciding as to what he wants to do. I think he's going to talk about how to protect yourself while in bear country, So seeing how he had just a few years of living up in that part of the world. So that's where we're at the moment. So if you got any ideas for March, let me know. Thank
Can we
you.
get some, let's talk about printing, not how to do the printing, but how to set up, have the stuff printed, how you know what size it is, and what are the standard frames and that kind of stuff. You do it in Photoshop, you do it in license. Printing workshop.
Okay, I just had to go through that exercise recently.
I think you've been through it, Gary's been through it, I've been through it, but
Yeah.
we all chose our happy path through it.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways of doing it.
Have a happy path through printing.
I,
Experience with different ways.
I,
Different perspectives.
I can do something on printing if you want, give me a couple of months.
okay, well, we could do that, or, yeah,
Maybe next summer.
okay. I can give a quick tutorial next, in March as to, okay, so the reason I'm volunteering to do this, I've done lots of sizing for lots of different things in Photoshop and in Lightroom. And just recently, I opened an Etsy store. And so you have to have your stuff formatted to match their sizing, depending on what print on demand user servicer you've brought in. So yeah, and there's a couple of tricks that I've learned to take what looks to be a neat picture, and all of a sudden it becomes a 40-inch image, so it's possible to do that. So, okay, I guess I'll do March, and we'll talk about.
You can probably recruit some help on March.
Yeah,
too.
okay, so we'll get some stuff put together for March on mechanisms of printing. Can you have a mic? No, I mean, Clay wants to talk.
So Clay Laban membership, and I appreciate you renewing. I just wanted to give credit to we had a large number of people in January. So I'm going to say, let's see here. We've got Cheryl Kellen, and we also have Leslie Edge, who will come back. Would you like to introduce yourself or say anything about your photography, what you've been doing? They joined, they were members 3 years ago. Yeah.
I'm Cheryl Callan.
You said you like.
What do you like to take pictures of?
I have been gone for 3 years, but now I'm back. I'm a wildlife freakazoid. You name it, I like to shoot it. I have a Z9, 2 Z9. That's right.
All right. Cannon. No cannon? I've been shooting for about 14 years. I'm not a professional. I'm a hobbyist. I like water. I like shooting grandchildren and wildlife.
Thank you both. Okay. We had Dennis McCree, Melissa Hargrave, Troy McLean, Tammy Allen, Gary Hook renewed, Shirley Friesen renewed, Lydia O'Neill renewed, and Arlie renewed. And I think if I left anybody out, it's Dennis Bosserman. We had Verlin Smith. Anyway, we've got a lot of people that joined, and Hatham Samarchi in January. We'll hope to see him. So we've got people renewing, and that's a good sign.
And it looks like I've got enough hands popping up as volunteers. We will go ahead and try to participate in the Georgetown Photo Festival, Texas Photo Festival. And we'll try to keep it to an hour or so of booth duty, and that would be it. Cody, I think it's your show.
All right, let's do it. Okay, let's jump in. And thanks to judges, we got Gary and Mark, and then we're missing down one from Christian. So you guys are going to cover, right?
We have the notes. We have notes.
Thanks to Christian for doing it, and he ended up having a conflict.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Let's go through.
Okay, so we'll start with basic. We'll do the scroll through and we'll do the critiques. So we had 9 images. Let's see. First is through the window. Through the window. Sticking the landing. A wet day in the garden. Bandera Courthouse. Complementary colors. Aurora, Laura, Alice. Reflections of Autumn. The Gold Market. And Splash Attack. First up, through the window.
So that's I'm going to start by saying we had a great time this month. Lots of great stuff. Lots of great stuff. It was, and well, we spent about 3 hours at Water to Wine, I think, with wine. It was great. So all good. Yeah, Christian couldn't be here. He had something pop up, so he is he's on the road, not able to do it to participate. But he's got he was gracious enough to write down his comments, and I'm going to read them verbatim when it's my turn.
Yes.
So, but this particular one is one I get to comment on. So we found this a very intriguing, very interesting photograph. I'm going to tell you right now that this monitor is really bright. You all have looked at this online. You know this monitor is really bright and washed out, okay? So keep that in mind as far as comments on tones or whatever go. But very interesting photograph. And I made some detailed notes on various things here. But what we found especially effective, very successful here, is the layers in this photograph. The framing aspect or approach to the dome back there in the tree really works really well. The detail that you can see in the interior elements, the shutters, as well as I'm calling it a shelf down here, for lack of a better term, all very successful. The opportunities for success include straightening the lines. It's like shoot with margins, straighten your lines. It's just awkward for me. I don't know how anybody else feels. It just feels like it's, it would come across as more intentional if those lines were square. Okay. And I think it would just help keep the viewer from being distracted by that. The other thing I think that we felt could have been done was to crop the bottom out. That little shelf on the bottom, that bright spot at the edge, leads the eye out of the frame. A, it's in the corner. B, it's really bright, lots of contrast. And C, it's there and you don't need it. Okay, so I think cropping this image, either to include the edge of the shelf or not, whatever, is I think something that would be helpful and improve the overall appearance. I'm going to say one thing that I think we agreed was especially effective here. The framing of the tree is great. The dome is great. Everything, the layers are fantastic. That shutter on the left on the outside, I think it's great that you can see the open shutter on the left, and then the one on the right is not there. I just think that it just imparts a sense of movement through that window frame. And so, yeah, we thought this had a lot of great stuff to it.
Okay, next is sticking the landing.
Okay, so that one's, Christian did that one, but I'm going to kind of read through. So basically kind of a very much of immediate impact where there's a strong and punchy contrast and the kind of really bold colors pull the viewer right in kind of right away. Like the composition, we've got the multiple birds kind of separated like that. The centered pelican and kind of being balanced by the other smaller birds near the left-hand side kind of creates a nice, very strong visual anchor. One minor thing which we saw, there's an actual bird right near the pelican's neck, which we only saw after looking at the photo many times. Might be able to climb that out. But from a technical and stylistic perspective, we liked the heavy contrast, which gave it a very dramatic scene. And find it very striking, even a little bit maybe dystopian because it's very bright and kind of high key. Maybe if you consider slightly easing off on the contrast just a little bit, so you're not clipping quite as much on the, and you could restore some of the details in the feathers of the main bird, the pelican there, which would really help it make it stand out. One of the suggestion is consider a modest crop, and you'll see sometimes, like one of our conversation, we get very much into any changes possibly with cropping, is to consider, removing the sky, because the sky is really not adding a whole bunch and really kind of bringing you into the water and the birds. But overall, we felt like it was a really interesting image, and again, keep going. Love to see more of this.
Okay. A wet day in the garden.
Okay, fine, that's over here. So this is one of the ones that kind of really kind of grabbed me right when I first saw it. I think it's really a striking flower composition with really captivating reflections. So not just the kind of water droplets, but the pooling in the center really makes it, it's got a high contrast. It makes it really, really quite compelling. And the lighter color around it and the deeper magenta of the flower kind of really bring you right into the core structure. Additionally, I really thought the green up at the top really kind of helped make it less abstract. If you hadn't had that, it really would be just really only a photo of the center. But I like the fact that you're able to see part of the rest of the background there, and it's nicely blurred out as you'd hope. The kind of water droplets are kind of the key stars of the shot, and the reflections in there. One area of future just kind of feedback is kind of the stamen is kind of one of the center parts, and it's not as in focus as the core part of the reflections are. And otherwise, we thought it was really a really strong photo, and I liked it.
Bandera Courthouse.
Okay, so this is it's a documentary shot of a county courthouse. We have a bazillion of them in this state. I saw a poster today with apparently little pictures of them at the tax office. There are a lot more than I thought. There are a lot of counties. So it's a nice angle-on shot of the courthouse, and we've captured the I guess cupola at the top, if you want to call it that, but the whole extent of the building at the top. So it's very, very nice. What I'm not sure about is what the maker is trying to tell me about this. I don't feel like the maker is telling me much about how they feel about the courthouse. So I'm not really understanding the intent. What's also unclear is why the maker chose to crop off that left corner, because it feels a little tight, a little snug. This is also an image, if I believe, it's also not square. I don't think the verticals are true, if I remember correctly. And I think that's an opportunity that could be taken advantage of as well. We found the fact that everything's in focus is great. The sky here is really blown out, but if you look at it carefully, there's opportunity in the sky to bring those clouds out, to give them some texture. And so I think there's a missed opportunity here on the part of the maker to give us a little bit more drama in the sky. The light is flat because it's a very cloudy day, so you have to figure out what you can do to take advantage of that. So let's bring in some contrast. Let's bring in some dodging and burning. Let's accentuate the light as it's falling on, because you can see the lights on the front of the building and not so much on the side. So let's do a little bit of work in post to bring those things out and make just give us more drama is the word, but or contrast, but just to give us more life. I think that it's an interesting shot. I think there's opportunities here, and I would encourage the maker to take this and run with it in post-production and explore possibilities.
Next, we have complementary colors.
Okay, so this is Christian's, and I'm going to read his comments here. Christian says, I really like this photo a lot. The visual texture and color palette give it a painterly feel, which I enjoy. The rich detail in the moss and cypress sets a quiet, immersive mood. The blue canoeists provide a strong focal point and the delightful pop of color against the rusty foliage and muted greens of the water. Technically, the image feels well handled with good sharpness where it matters and a softness in the moss and leaves that supports the tranquil atmosphere. The photographer could experiment with a small crop from the bottom to trim the green plant cluster in the lower middle, and perhaps a slight crop from the right ending around the two darker trunks. These would simplify the scene a bit. The color palette is gorgeous and the storytelling is very effective. It is easy to imagine being there, hearing the gentle sounds of the water and feeling the stillness of the swamp.
Okay. Aurora, Laura, Alice.
So I think creating a successful light painting portrait like this, it's a tough challenge. And I think this piece really succeeds in a lot of levels. The subject remained, remarkably still, which means they were sharp during the time period in which the light painting was done, and the trails, both with the blue and the green, provide a nice complementary kind of color palette, which I think is really effective. It's almost like they're kind of going through kind of a bit of a corridor, like this between these two lights, which would make it really, really striking. And in other ways, it kind of makes almost, on another look, it makes a little bit like a wing silhouette. It almost looks like it's a kind of another a version of some wings, which is really interesting. To further elevate the image, you might consider where the woman is a bit in silhouette. If there'd been maybe just a little bit of a key light on the face, just to make it a little more image there, I think that might have been nice, or a pop flash, something pop potential. The circular green element on the left is really quite bright, and possibly, if you're doing multiple of these, looking for ones that had the widest range of kind of a color contrast. But overall, I thought it was really, really quite good, and really, really interesting to see kind of light painting work like this, portraits. Beautiful.
Okay. Reflections of Autumn.
And that one's mine. Okay, so yay, water lilies. I love water lilies. I think one of my favorite flowers. They're so fun, and I think they're so interesting. Color here is fantastic. The contrast of the blue purple in the flower with the gold light reflecting off of the water, I think is very nice, very effective, wonderful complementary situation going on here. Things that I'm not real clear about. Well, I'll also say the depth of field is gorgeous. The blur in the background is fantastic. Okay. I think there's some opportunities here, though. I'm a little unclear on why we need that big lily pad at the bottom left corner. That could go. I think we could crop this out. We don't need to stay 2x3. Okay, I'm a strong believer in that the image should be cropped to what the image wants, not what the camera gave you. All right. So that's my perspective, and why I'm sharing it this way. And this, again, my perspective. I don't think that we needed the top 30% of this image. I think the maker wants us to look at the flower and the reflections, hence the title, right? Why do we have everything on the top? We don't need everything on the top. So crop it. At the very least, put a linear gradient on there and darken it. All right, so that we take away, even further take away any emphasis on the top of it, and bring our attention back to the flower and the gold reflection, which I think is the story in this image. I personally am not a fan of the profile of the flower, but I get what the maker was doing because that's where the reflection was landing. I totally get that, okay? So while it's not what I would like it to be necessarily, that's me, it's my opinion, but I think the maker found a great opportunity to exploit what was there in front of them. And so I congratulations on that. But yeah, crop. I'm going to go with a strong feeling on crop, okay?
Okay. The gold mark.
That's
you want to read that?
That's
Go ahead.
mine from Christian. So it does something I really enjoy in photography. It gives me some questions that I really don't have the answer to. There's a sense of mystery that suits the subjects and the scenes, really well. It has good impact from kind of a striking color palette, and really good high contrast that draws the eye kind of into the nighttime scene through the blurriness that kind of holds a really nice potential. The storytelling is a highlight and effectively kind of capturing the mood of an anonymous crowd contrasted with that single person on the right who's visible, kind of looking at the gold. I do wish the subject was in the middle and the crowd to the left, which might make a little bit more space. As the image is framed right now, the subject gaze to the right takes me to the edge of the photo, and once it's there, I'm kind of anchored, and I don't easily get back into the picture itself. The lighting enhances the street lights very nicely. For opportunities, maybe slightly warming the blue lights up in the upper left might reduce distraction a little bit, integrating them in with a very minimalistic palette. Overall, it's a very nice photo, and glad I could see it.
Okay, and splash attack.
So I spent a lot of time on this photo because I really thought it was quite intense. The bear's intense focus and the kind of explosive water really created quite a sense of drama and energy that was just really quite compelling. The texture on the fur is just really excellent, and the shutter speed to kind of capture all of that motion in really high fidelity was just really quite strong. By using a low camera angle like we have, really got the viewer's place kind of right there at the heart of the action. You kind of feel like you're just kind of looking kind of at bear's level, which is not exactly a place I want to be personally. But I've learned that there are ways to protect yourself against that. But the creamy background I think worked really well and kind of bring you into the core part of the action. I think from a decisive moment part, the salmon is somewhat lost in the splash, and when the opportunity might be to take many shots in kind of quick succession and try to get the one that maybe got the salmon a bit more visible, because really what we're seeing is the water on the bear there. Potentially, maybe tightening up the bottom just a little bit, but otherwise it's a really intriguing image and quite a great place to quite a great capture.
All right, we can get to the awards. Let's see. So we'll start with judge's choice. All right, so we've got 4 images. So now we don't have to give honorable mentions, but I think in this time we gave 4 placements no matter how many entries. So there's 4 of them. So first we have A Wet Day in the Garden, got honorable mention. I don't know. Tim. Okay. And then next we got Through the Window, Ron Terry in third. Okay. And then in second, we have Splash Attack, Leslie Eage.
Yes.
Okay, I was in Alaska that's at Brook Falls. I was in Alaska, Brook Falls, and how many pictures I took. I tried to get one with the salmon showing. It just didn't work. So, but I just liked the motion of this one, is what I liked about it.
They don't take direction very well, do they?
No, it was one of the funnest things I've done. That was a neat thing.
Quite beautiful. Yeah.
Everybody needs to go, not at the same time.
Okay. And then first we have Complementary Colors, Jerry Murphy. All right. Now the People's Choice. That's right. We have 4 images. There's a tie. So in bronze, we have A Wet Day in the Garden, Tim Levine. silver, we have a tie. So the first is Splash Attack, Leslie. And the next silver is Reflections of Autumn, Jolyn Zamudio. And then gold is Complementary Colors, Jerry Murphy. Right. Go to yeah. All right, so let's do a quick scan through the images in intermediate. We have 11. All right, so Stargazer. Between Light and Darkness. Water Garden. Teal and Amber. Relentless. Lucy in Disguise. Tree of Life. Intense Hunter. Precision in Flight. Caddo Lake Evening Reflections. And Bob Foss Style. Do the critiques. First up is Stargazer.
So that is mine. So photographing somebody else's art is for me always a challenge. I don't believe, unless you're doing a documentary piece, just showing somebody's work. I think the challenge is that you're not trying to show somebody's piece of art. You're trying to show them how you're trying to show your viewer how you as a maker feel about the art. Okay. In this particular case, this maker has chosen to focus on basically a bust plus area of this statue, and the business part of the statue, which is the person that is represented is looking at the star or through the star. And so my expectation, my desire, if you will, is that I'm going to learn about how the maker of this image feels about that statue. Okay, and I'm not entirely sure that has successfully been executed. There are some distractions here that I think take away, but we'll start with the very strong points, which is that it's in focus, the detail, the texture on the statue, fantastic, beautiful. The lighting in the situation, I think, was handled really well in the capture because we've got the shadows where they belong. You've got the eye sockets, the nose, the lips, the shadow under the chin, and you can tell. You get what the statue is doing, right? It's very clear what's happening here. Opportunities for success. Crop that left half out, or that left 30, 20, 25, 30%. The tree. The tree does not belong here. The tree is unnecessary. It is distracting, okay? The tree is distracting in this corner, okay? You have bits of tree in the corner here. Nobody cares about that, all right? What we care about is the statue, and I want to
Gotta avoid those generalizations.
Wait, this isn't a back and forth. I'm sorry. This monologue. Chairman, this is my time. I'm reclaiming my time. Okay. Yeah. So distractions on the thing. We don't need all that space. This is a square. All we care about is a square around the face. Honestly, we don't care about the color. The color is unnecessary. What matters here is the texture, right? So black and white this is black and white. I played with this. It's a black and white photo. Okay. There's some opportunity here to exploit black and white, shadow and light, texture that I think will tighten it up and bring us to the focus of this person represented by the statue looking at this thing or through this thing, more of a story, and avoid the distractions of things that are irrelevant to the story. Okay, so.
Okay. Next, we have Between Light and Darkness.
That's me.
Yep.
Well, it's Christian. I'm virtual Christian,
Yes.
right? So Christian wrote this. Between Light and Dark is a very charming photo. The photographer chose the right location and time of day to capture not only the deer, but the mist on the water, which greatly adds to the atmosphere of the image. I love the color palette of soft blues, greens, and purples, contrasted by dramatic oranges and yellows. The storytelling and center of interest stand out strongly. There is good sharpness on the deer, showing individual water drops in the splashes. I do find the blurry orange grass in the foreground a bit distracting. You can consider cropping from the bottom to minimize this. There is a distracting leafless tree in the middle background and a yellow tree cutting the left edge of the image. These could be cloned out or avoided through higher, wider framing or a vertical crop on the left for better compositional balance.
Okay. Next, we have Water Garden.
Water garden. So I thought this was a really serene kind of botanical study, more so than a portrait of a flower. It's a space with the lilies and the pads. I thought that, you know, the capturing of the real rich pink saturation really contrasted really well with the deep greens of the lily pads. Kind of the focus on the petals seemed to be kind of really spot on, and I really liked the kind of the texture with the golden centers of the bloom. You know, kind of by capturing this particular cluster, it feels very peaceful and kind of organized. I think, you know, a couple opportunities around the image. There's a brownish part of the lily pad that's not doing too well in the upper right. It'd be great if we either de-emphasized that or just maybe darkened it a little bit so that it was kind of less there. You know, you might consider a little tighter crop. That might have done it for you. Just bring the edges in a little bit to make it a little more of a focus on the cluster of the flowers. But overall, just a really nice capture. And I like the subtle reflection in the top, the waves in the top part of the water. It just works really well.
Okay. Next, we have Till and Amber.
Okay, this one's mine. This is a through a piece of glass shot with water on the glass, and I think what is really effective about this is that we've got the water droplets in the glass in focus, and we're losing the light. We're losing the detail in the scene outside the window, which lets our mind build a story about the image. Seeing this, what appears to be a figure holding an umbrella, we're left to fill in the details on who this person is, where they're going, what they're running to. The turquoise vehicle there is fantastic. We wonder, is it parked? Is it moving? What's happening out there? And then over on the left-hand side, you've got all that gold orange color in the background to contrast that. So you've got this nice split going on around the person outside the window. So lots of interesting activity. I think terrific storytelling. The composition is very wonderful. There's movement here. So yeah, just hitting all the notes for me. And then the abstractness, the lack of detail created by the water on the glass, the rainy day, I think just ends a terrific ambiance overall to the image.
Okay, so that's Christian's. This image shows a real raw exertion of a firefighter in action. where the person with their eyes hidden kind of really takes it from a portrait into a kind of an archetype of many different firefighters more than a specific kind of individual. The photo is a really good, solid technical foundation with good focus and sharpness, kind of clean lines and edges without kind of unnecessary intersections. It feels like a natural, if slightly cool color palette. There's a couple of technical aspects I suggest exploring. The overexposed sky takes away from the image. The saturation is a touch too low overall. And the silver clip outshines kind of the rest of the frame. I think this could be addressed in a couple of ways. The first, I would suggest a tighter crop, possibly a vertical 4x3 or a square. This would remove some of the metal on the left, but don't crop it all where the texture is real nice. Another idea is to try a monochrome here, just with the textures, when the jacket and the rust and the tank. There's just a lot of opportunities for just a really rich black and white photo here. And it could make it really powerful. So I really love the capture and consider some additional processing on it.
Okay. Lucy in Disguise.
Okay, so yep, that's mine. So kind of another abstract image that just really stands out with its really painterly flow of colors that really kind of just make it really quite gorgeous to kind of wander in and out different parts of the color, which kind of fade in and out of each other. The title, Lucy in Disguise, was kind of had us talking and was really kind of intriguing. Wasn't sure if it was a reference to a Beatles song or others. It's an abstract photo, so we're not sure what the disguise is. So really kind of that mystery was really kind of nice. The overlaying of the pastel with the very sharp of the kind of cracked really made it really a very powerful kind of contrast and made it kind of really very intriguing. The interplay of light with the small specular reflections also kind of gave your eye plenty of places to go around, and found myself looking at it for quite a long time. Just really quite a successful and intriguing image. One possible thing would be if there's any way to kind of give it a little bit more of a clearer, where should I look? Because right now the eye kind of wants to move around it, and I'm not sure where, if there's more of a center of focus. But really quite a beautiful and successful image.
Okay, next we have Tree of Life.
Okay, so this was mine. So first of all, the storytelling here is very strong in this image. The fact that the poor tree is holding on for life as the ground just is eroded out from under the tree is fascinating. How long has this been going on? Because there's a lot of roots hanging on to the side here. It has been happening for a while. So I think it's very interesting. What I think, where I think the image falls a little short is that first of all, shooting midday like this is always a challenge, right? The light is harsh, right? It's tough. So managing the light is first and foremost the primary goal. And it's not clear to me that with the way this image is presented, that the light was managed as well as it could have been. It feels a little bright to me, a little contrasty, but also I perceive that in post that the crispness was turned up. Okay, and it's hard to tell here, but when we were looking on the screen, it just felt like it was just crispy, and that's not always a good thing to do in a global basis. If you're going to emphasize mid-tone contrast, it needs to be very targeted. It needs to be very specific. So find the green leaves, sharpen them, right? Find the bark, sharpen it. Figure out what the things are. You don't need to just turn the clarity up to 11 in the overall image and have done with it. So judicious and considered use of the tools, I think, would help this image a lot. Another opportunity, the sky, it's kind of bland. There's stuff there. So let's get the clarity out for that and do some work on that and darken it and kind of do some things to give us a little bit more color, a little bit more texture, and some stuff. We felt like a crop again here at the bottom. I don't know that these logs are necessary, so we could have just trimmed the bottom a little bit to get the emphasis off of that stuff happening there. And a little bit maybe on the right too, because I don't think that everything here is really necessary. But it's a great scene, and I think it asks a lot of questions, and I think it intrigues the viewer, it intrigues me. But I think this is a case where you know, these challenging things, the light and how we want to present it, are something the maker could continue to work on and have goals set for themselves to help bring what they felt and what they saw out in the image for the viewer.
Intense Hunter.
Okay, so Intense Hunter. So this photo really kind of freezes a raptor kind of right in time as they were kind of hovering. The kestrel's really fierce expression, and really like the kind of the glint in the eye, which is really nice, and the dramatic, wing posture, which really makes it a really effective wildlife portrait. The overall impact lands strong thanks to the intense subject and a really good composition, with the grassy lines directing the eye up towards the kestrel, which is a really nice effect. The focus is relatively sharp on the subject, with a little bit of overall softness on the image, possibly due to lens diffraction, and this might have been a crop from a larger image. I see some color noise in the feathers and the grain that could be cleaned up in post, that would sharpen the delivery a bit. The color palette is really quite great and reinforces the subject quite nicely. Kind of creatively and kind of in storytelling, it's one-dimensional. It's just kind of, there's a very cool bird. I think the image is being held back a little bit by the very tight crop, and I'd love to see a little bit wider crop and maybe an additional element to the left, which might hint at the bird's prey or some other interest focus there. I think that might deepen the narrative, but overall, it's a very powerful image of a very cool bird.
Okay, Precision in Flight.
So I thought this was a really strong and impressive shot that it captures a very difficult subject kind of really quite well. It is incredibly sharp and in focus for the bird. The wings have just a touch of blur to them. And I think Christian was the one who said that even at like 1/1000th of a second, hummingbirds' wings still have a bit of a blur, motion blur to them. But that bit of motion blur kind of gives you a feeling of that the bird is flying and that they're there. So the shallow depth of field in the background works I think super well to kind of remove whatever's back there, and it just feels like a very nice creamy background and very effective where the bird pops against that kind of clean background. To further kind of elevate the image, we might consider, we talked about a number of crops actually, just to consider, like right now the feeder is really prominent. And so one could lose the lower quarter of the image, in fact, getting even into the feeder itself, because maybe anchor that at the bottom of the image. And this would really give you maybe a little bit more of a slightly wide perspective, which would really kind of focus in on the bird itself, which would be very nice. But overall, just quite a great capture, and looking forward to more hummingbird pictures from this person.
Caddo Lake Evening Reflections.
Okay, this was fine. So yay, Caddo Lake. I love Caddo Lake, such a wonderful place. This particular image, by the title, the maker wants us to consider the reflections of the cypress trees, is where I'm going here. So the overall structure of the image is very interesting, with the base of the trees at the top and these long reflections on the bottom. And so the makers did a good job of presenting what it is they want us to look at. Opportunities for success include the tones could use a tiny bit of work. There's a bright spot between the trees on the left, and the clouds up there, and that bright spot keeps drawing my eye. And I don't think that's what the maker wants me to look at. There's also a bright spot here with the orange cloud on the bottom. And that even worse is at the edge of the frame and draws me out of the frame. The crop does not need to include the stand of trees in the back corner. If we cropped in from the right to that first large cypress, I think we'd tighten things up a little bit. I would like to see the maker do a little bit of work in, again, mid-range contrast to give us a little bit more texture in the trees themselves, and some dodging in the trees to give us a little bit more light, a little bit more variety overall. The reflections are interesting, but they lack a certain level of clarity. The water is not still, the water's moving. So we see the variations in the water, and my eye is, because of that lack of distinction, my eye is drawn to the base of the cypress trees, okay? So we could even crop up on the bottom and lose some of that reflection and just focus on just the bottom of the trees and the matching reflection. Put the tree trunks at the water line in the middle, not at the horizon. The horizon still stays above, but put the tree trunks on the water line in the middle and tighten just up the whole thing to make sure that we're looking at what is, to my eye, relevant to the scene, okay? Again, my perspective, but I, you know, it's a picture of Cattle Lake, yay.
Okay, and Bob Foss style.
And okay, I get to read this one. So Bob Fosse, choreographer. Oh my goodness. Old guy though. He's been around a long time ago. So Christian got this one, and so his comments read, this is a striking subject with a strong black and white treatment that suits classic stage performance. The dancer is in a dynamic pose that feels like either a portrait of a dancer or a frozen moment in a performance. We couldn't tell which it was. I see a couple of opportunities to strengthen the image. The slight motion blur on the face, the heel intersecting the left edge, and the practical folding chair all pull a bit against the otherwise theatrical feel. A touch more space on the right would better accommodate the dancer's posture and where our eye wants to travel. I would also suggest more subject background separation, either through additional lighting, stronger local contrast on the dancer, or a wider aperture to soften the background. Enhancing micro contrast across the figure, addressing the horizontal shadow across the middle, and securing crisper focus on the face would all support the storytelling, whether you intend this more as an immersive stage scene or as a stylized portrait.
Okay.
And I think that was it.
That was it. So now we can go to the judge's choice. Okay. Let's see, so we start off with honorable mention, Jonathan Rocher, Between Light and Dark. Say something.
You. This was in Grand Teton National Park. The fact that this screen indeed is very bright, actually, so then the title doesn't work very well, but it was actually quite dark of a scene because it was around sunrise. There was very little light, and I had to kind of bring light a little bit, but it was very dark in the back, and it was beautiful. The light was starting to come out. And yeah, just very serene scene, and I loved it. And it's been a background on my laptop for a while.
Third place, we have Lydia O'Neill, Precision in Flight.
This was up in Colorado. We go camping and fly fishing up there, and the previous year I noticed there were just tons of little hummingbirds all over the place. So I just camped out one morning in a camping chair with the long lens and waited. And the thing was literally like 2 feet away from me. It was pretty cool. So I was excited I got it so clear. It's interesting on the cropping suggestions because I was playing with it here on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I'll definitely play with that when I get home.
Okay. And in second place, we have Mark Interrante,
So this was taken in London a couple of months ago, and whenever it rains, I get into a cab and try to get shots, and so it's kind of a ongoing body of work to try to get kind of rain shots like this, and so you may see more of this. I'm trying to get better at this. It's been a thing, but I enjoy the dynamicism of the different things that are moving in a scene when you're kind of looking out the side of a cab window.
Okay, and first place, Jim McDaniel, Lucy in Disguise.
Different Jim.
So we have a tie for bronze. So first in bronze is Lydia. And then the other bronze is Lucy in Disguise, Jen McDaniel. Silver is Catalate Buckets. David.
Yeah.
Microphone.
Cattle Lake. I had fun getting that one because sometimes the boats would come by through, and I thought the ripples in the water was kind of interesting for me. And then it's another picture I flipped, going looking from left to right. I seen that canoe trail or something to make your eye go down through that path. Is what I was kind of thinking. That's about it for me on that.
Thank you. Okay, and then gold, Jonathan with Between Light and Darkness.
So before we go on, I think one of the things that we want to try to talk about a little bit this year is when there appears to be a distinction between what the judges choose and what the people choose. And this is a good example of that because we've got some ordering things that are different between the three. I'll talk, but you can correct me. Okay, you were there. You were there. So in this particular case, Jonathan, your photo's beautiful. All right. Nobody's saying your photo's not beautiful, right? I say this every time. We are nitpicking, right? We are picking, because there's a lot of good work here, and you can't just go, oh, they're all gold, they're all fantastic. That's not the whole point of what we're doing. But we felt in this particular case that there were things with your images that we felt detracted from the viewer's experience, and we felt that with Lucy in Disguise and with Teal and Amber, that there were elements there that overall carried it forward as a stronger image as a whole. Okay, not that there's anything wrong with what you did. It's a matter of teeny tiny differences. Okay, so we're not trying to criticize what you're doing. I want to make sure you understand that. It's like we are looking for what pushes it over the edge, and we felt in those particular cases that the 5 things that we're looking at as judges that are listed on the website now, kind of going through those and thinking about, okay, for that, this is what puts this one up here versus this one. Okay. But yeah, again, lots of good work here, people. we got some good photographers. It's great. Fantastic. Okay. You want to add anything to that or correct me?
No, you covered it. Yeah.
Okay.
No corrections.
Okay.
Good. And then go to advanced. All right, we got 12 images. So let's go. All right, Wetland Sentinel surveying the kingdom. Just 5 more minutes. Forever My Valentine. two-stepping. Seconds count. Vice City limits. Tracks. My best friend. Cuban farmer. Sunrise over Grindelwald. Ribbon of Azure. And Coming Up for Air. Okay. We can start with Wetland Sentinel surveying the
So
kingdom.
that one's mine. So, I thought this was a really beautiful atmospheric image. I love the mist and the lighter colors of the grasses out off in the distance. It really provides kind of almost a little bit of a pastel or almost a painterly kind of vision, which feels really nice, kind of like an early morning. The dead white tree provides a real nice stark contrast to the water, and a nice vertical with the rest of the image being kind of very horizontal. A really nice set of mid-tones, really good mid-tone control there, and preserved a lot of detail in transitioning from the foreground into the background. So I think maybe to opportunities to more continue processing on this photo might be to lighten the tree and lighten the bird, which is kind of really our core focus. So increasing a little micro contrast there and kind of bringing that forward a bit. While the title of the photo is the Sentinel, it's really quite small in the image, so maybe consider tightening up the crop just a little bit. I think you could lose part of the lower to 20% of the grasses down there. Just consider maybe a kind of a 4:3 ratio a little bit to really command the frame a little bit better. But overall, really like it and think that this is a good, strong image.
Okay, just 5 more minutes.
Okay, this one's mine. Love squirrels. I like tree rats. I think they're fun. They got lots of personality. And this one, the title is terrific. The title tells you what the maker wants the viewer to think about, which is this little guy's waking up from a nap. And so fantastic title, just spot on, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Other strong elements of this image include the color palette being very limited, very, very, very to the point. Where the limb and the leaves in the background fall worked in the photographer's favor. I think that the light coming in on the squirrel and lighting his face and his eye and leaving the top of his head dark and everything, it just works really, really well. So yeah, lots of goodness here. Again, we felt this could be cropped. There's a small green triangle in the lower left corner that draws my eye, and it does not need to be there. In fact, most of that tree limb does not need to be there. It is not relevant to the story. We know the squirrel's sitting on the tree limb when we see any bark, right? We already know. So let's bring it up from the bottom a little bit, not the tail, but in from the left, and let's get rid of that triangle in the corner. I felt like the fur was a little crispy. Okay, I could be wrong, but I felt like it was maybe a little too contrasty. In this particular case, I think some localized adjustments. Let's focus on the head, the face, the ear, not his back, not his tail. Let's draw the eye to the face of the animal where it's tucked in, and it reinforces the point of the story. Okay. I think the maker could have grabbed the background in Lightroom and darkened it here. And pulled back on the green yellow a little bit just to de-emphasize the background. It's very bright, okay? So it's not super blurry. So let's do a little bit of work to help create that separation between the subject and the background. Again, nitpicking here, but great capture, great moment, great title.
So I just want to add, I had,
Yes.
the title, the 5 more minutes, it's almost like you're waking up. And if it was either a little bit more vignetted or a little bit darker around there, just to give you a feeling that it was more in that earlier part of the day.
Twilighty, maybe, or dawn or twilighty,
Yeah.
possibly, just work on the lighting a little bit, opportunities here. Yeah, yeah. So, fun.
Okay. Forever My Valentine.
Is it? I got to look through my notes. Hold on. Yep, I get to read this one. Okay. Yeah, Christian says, this is a rare portrait of a vampire. Only possible in a mirrorless camera. Oh my God.
Oh, man, I missed that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow.
Gold medal for the pun of the critique.
We did not see that coming. He never mentioned that. Wow. Wow. Okay, I'm in awe. Wow. Okay. Hold on. Okay. All right. Where was it? Okay, this is a cool photo with a great model, cool costume, some cool smoke, and nice supporting elements like the sword and wrought iron fence, whose lines complement each other. Everything on the scene suits the subject nicely. The focus is perfect on the eyes, which is a necessity that is achieved perfectly here. There are no distracting elements intersecting the edges of the frame. I have a couple of suggestions that I think could enhance the image. First, I recommend a classic vertical crop, as this photo reads like a portrait to me. As a landscape-oriented photo, I would want to see another element to take this single subject and make a story. I would also suggest positioning the model more to the left to give the smoke more room, as it's a very interesting effect, and I would love to see more of that and less of the fence. But keep some of the fence. I would also like to suggest a more pale makeup shade for the model to match her shoulder. I haven't met many vampires, but I don't think they usually have suntans. Overall, this is a fun photo. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. All right.
Ready?
No, I don't think I am. Pardon me?
This is going to be 98% less puns on this one.
Yes,
So yes,
yes.
so
Okay.
a really compelling black and white capture, very high energy moment, with just a really kind of a great amount of drama amongst the multiple characters here. Between the diagonal lines really kind of bring it in with the rope and into the fence. The choice of a shallow depth of field really kind of effectively kind of isolates the background spectators and the arena fencing, which could have been a little bit overwhelming, but doesn't, because the shallow depth of field kind of really reduced that, which is quite nice. The kicking up of the dirt really, I thought, really added a lot of really nice energy into that, and the tones of the horse and the clothing and everything really of the cowboy really kind of worked really well, kind of in the midtones there. Again, one of the comments we've had before is maybe a slight adjustment to framing. The rope leads off to in the left side of the frame. It's taking me someplace. I want to go out there, which is probably towards the bull or whatever's being roped. I think I just bring that in because I think that the focus on the cowboy, the horse, and the scene in the center there is great. Consider if one is doing a crop, I would consider losing the tops of the trees, because that white kind of takes me out of the frame, bringing it down just to 10%, so it's just a darker tree background, kind of keeps you looking into the core energy of the image. But overall, really excellent. Looking forward to seeing more cowboy shots from this person.
Okay, and seconds count.
Okay, so this is an interesting shot. I know that some people don't care for this type of thing. It is nature, and it's the way things work. Me, I find it fascinating. This kind of stuff doesn't bother me. So I really appreciate the image. I think that the successful elements here include the gaze of we just said cheetah, right? Cheetah, the gaze of the cheetah locked onto the photographer. Is fantastic. The placement of the cheetah's head within the frame is appropriate for a portrait. It works really, really great. The limited color palette, the oranges and the greens, fantastic. And everything's very, very light. You know, it's not particularly dramatic lighting wise, you know, and I think that works well because the drama isn't in the lighting in the shot. The drama is in the action, the story being told. I think that the fact that the herd animal has a piece of grass in its mouth is amazing. It's for me. I think that I found that overall, just the moment is just really well captured. I would encourage the maker to consider cropping a little bit off the bottom. I don't know that this needs to be a 2x3. It just feels tall to me, unnecessarily so. But you know, I could be wrong in this particular case, but yeah, overall, I think that the double meaning of the double meaning of the title, because seconds is in time, but seconds is in dinner, as well as the effectiveness of the moment, I think really resulted in a very, very, very strong image. So yeah, good stuff.
Okay, next we have Vice City Limits.
Okay, this is mine to read. Okay, again, Christian, probably not nearly as amusing as the last one, but we'll see. Okay. This photo has a really cool futuristic vibe that I could see as a cover on a sci-fi novel or album cover. It just oozes style. It gives the viewer a very strong impact through vibrant colors and dynamic motion, especially from the light trails. There's a lot that I like technically with the photo, from the colors to the sharpness to the overall framing, but I would suggest a tighter crop to remove the starburst street lamp. The lines from the lamp's light pair nicely with the lines from the horizontal light trails, but the starburst on the street light to me looks like a stylized sun. Once I've seen that, I can't unsee it, and I find it distracting. Cropping down from the top into a panorama view would remove that light, but also focus the viewer more directly on the red, pink, and blue lines that are the highlights of the image. So, here you go.
Yep. Right. Tracks.
That one's mine. So this is a very compelling kind of minimal landscape and kind of a really good study of negative space. And again, this was I think this was in Hokkaido in northern. It seems like it was in Japan, and it is kind of very much as a kind of a Japanese aesthetic when you think about a lot of Japanese art, which is a lot of negative space and minimalism. The panoramic crop kind of really works. A panoramic aspect ratio works really well here. It feels like it's a very big landscape and the person's coming home or coming to a place of respite, which is really quite moving. The large expanse of snow kind of really carries a good emotional weight. That front set of grass really anchors so that the home or the house is not as just kind of floating in a snow space. And along with the tracks leading to the house, make it quite a wonderful composition. Let's see, and again the title being tracks, which kind of reinforce that. And then maybe to refine the image a little bit more, consider varying the adjustment to the level, so make a little bit more separation between the white ground and the gray sky, which might make the horizon feel a little bit more intentional and well defined. Just a little bit more difference between them, but overall, really wonderful shot. Yes. Oops.
That dark area on the left, is that the TV or is that the picture? I didn't remember seeing that.
It's on the left.
I think it's the TV. You're talking about this? Yeah, I think it's the TV.
Okay.
That's the TV.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in the image. I didn't see it.
I don't think I've got a copy of this one.
Okay. Next we have My Best Friend.
I think that's yours.
Who's my best friend? This was my, okay. So, Again, I'm gonna guess Caddo Lake again. Yay. You know, always a fun place to go. I think that so this image has terrific mood. I'm assuming fall because we've got some orange in the cypress leaves of the tree. So that's fantastic. The mist is just wonderful. We've got whatever the foliage that's growing on the water is. I don't know what it is. The purple flowers are great. I think what I'm missing here is the point of the title, My Best Friend. Okay. To me, this image has very little to do with the dog and everything to do with the adventure that they're on. And so I want a title that reinforces that story. You could have a portrait of a person and their animal and call it My Best Friend, and you'd have the same effect from the title. So I felt like the viewer is misdirected by this title. There's a disconnect between what the story wants to be in the image I'm looking at and what the maker has titled the image. So I would like the maker to reconsider maybe something more appropriate. Other strong elements in this image, the choice of the crop in that tree on the left is fantastic. I think it puts us in the scene. The fact that we're low, again, being low and looking along here, I think puts us there, and like we could be in the boat next door. I'm assuming the maker was in a boat, you know. So lots of really good stuff. The light's good. Yeah, I'd like a little bit more depth of field. Like the flowers are so prevalent. I'd like the flowers to be a little bit more crispy. I'd like them sharper. You know, so yeah, I think there's a lot of really good stuff here. And I bet it was a beautiful boat ride.
Okay, next we have Cuban Farmer.
And that's Christians. So this photo is a very kind of immediate visual impact with the center subject and a kind of a Dutch angle tilt, and then really nice bold colors and a strong contrast. To me, it reads like a portrait, and doing as such as I'd like a slightly tighter crop down from the top to raise the subject's head a little bit in the top third to increase the power of the subject. And you've captured a really strong emotional gaze, which deserves every reinforcement of its potency. The color saturation is really strong and a really strong stylistic choice. It's a little bit too much for me, but the tastes vary and it's very distinctive. With all the visual texture treatment, I would suggest attempting maybe a black and white treatment to further emphasize the texture and grit, which might feel appropriate for the subject. And if you did that, you might consider cloning out the shirt's logo. I don't know where that is. Okay. Okay. But
It's kind of vague, but it's it may be in the picture more.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sunrise over Grindelwald.
Okay, that's also
That's
mine.
yours.
So kind of very much a classic, well executed nature shot that really emphasizes the kind of the layered approach with the front layer of the flowers, the mid range of the valley, and the far of the kind of very epic mountain range. Very nice to show the mist in the distance, which gives you kind of that visual clarity. The contrast between the warmth of the yellow hitting the peaks and the cool shadows is really effective. Furthermore, I think including the valley part really kind of helped give you a sense of just the scale of this whole image. We had a really good conversation on this one, and I think that maybe to further improve the composition, a small amount of cropping at the bottom to allow the flowers to sit more comfortably rather than appearing to be kind of cut off. Also, the flowers are not as sharp as other parts of the image, and so maybe if you've taken a few more shots there to try to get everything fully crisp would have been effective. We really were intrigued about the grasses on the left and right, and we feel like in addition to this, you might even consider another photo that's inside this one, which is a vertical of the left third of the image, because those grasses on the left were really quite striking, and we really had a good conversation by just like we would be here for hours if we had a shot like if we had a scene like this, and really quite a compelling things. Anything else, Gary, on this one?
No. Well, although which one, did we decide which one was Grindelwald? Is it the one on the right or the one on the left?
It was the one on the left.
Oh, okay. I don't know my Alps.
Okay. Ribbon of Azor.
Okay, this is mine. Okay. This is really, this is Christian's, right? Very captivating abstract photo, kind of a slice of nature, where the vivid blue water kind of snakes through a textured gray mud flats in a way that's both kind of very serene and also quite graphic. It kind of has an immediate, strong impact upon viewing. A photographer creatively transformed the landscape into an unusual visual study through smart or post choices, such as the square composition, providing ample breathing room around the water to letting it dominate without overwhelming, while the kind of color palette, color balance pops very effectively. This photo prioritizes atmosphere over storytelling, which I fully agree with, and it gives the viewer a strong sense of mood. All the technical aspects of the work, this work well. There's grain, but I find it enhances the wet texture, the wet terrain's texture, and the color contrasts make the blue water tack sharp against its surroundings. And I really don't have any suggested changes.
Okay. Coming up for air.
And that one is mine, right? Yes. Okay. So great action shot. This is just a terrific capture of these three penguins, and the things that really captured our attention are the fact that there's three, odd number, yay. They're all doing something different, and they're all separated. So the maker just found just the right moment to capture this scene. There's so much action and tension and activity going on here. It's just beautiful. They're all moving in the same direction. I think we found the crop horizontally where the penguins are positioned to be very effective. We felt like this didn't need to be so tall. This could be a 16 by 9. There's a lot of space at the top and bottom that is probably not relevant. And so you could maybe emphasize that movement, that motion by tightening up the vertical aspect of this photo and focus on just the horizontal. That said, the color palette was fantastic. The shutter speed and the frozen moment is all just really super terrific. And yeah, the title is great. It tells a story. It brings to mind one aspect of what's happening here. I'm assuming they're out hunting. They're most likely looking for fish, and they have to breathe. They're mammals, so they come up periodically. So yeah, so the title I think works really super well here.
Okay. We'll go on to the awards.
Oh, is it?
Judge's choice.
Talk about the differences.
Okay. First, we have honorable mention, Bill Button, tracks.
I have to speak to. This was captured on a trip to Hokkaido, and you can't really see it on the monitor, but at the kind of in the center of the frame, there are a small set of tracks that come up out of the shadow and go across to the right. It was one of those, when I looked at the back of the camera, it was ooh, 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 ooh.
Yep. Third, we have Nick Grossman, coming up for air. In second place, we have Cheryl Callan, Seconds Count.
I don't know what to say. I was in South Africa. Oh, sorry.
Get you on camera.
I was in South Africa on the ground. I don't know, between you and me, in front of that cheetah, it was, yeah, a moment where your heart's pounding so hard you can't believe I mean, that's happening.
Did you get to see the chase or anything?
No,
Oh, okay.
he literally, yeah, I knew this was a risky shot, putting it in here. It just had happened and she looked at me and I was like, holy.
Wow.
And actually on the other side of the truck, there was lions and they had heard the whole thing. So then they will start coming in. And as soon as they start coming in, you got to get back in the truck. But yeah, it was a treat.
Okay, and then first place, Gary Hook, Ribbon of Azores.
So this is I captured this in Death Valley in December when I was there. This is shot from Dante's View. It's about 400 feet above the bad water. That's bad water down there. They had lots of rains this year, so there's lots of water down in this part of Death Valley. Just a fascinating thing I was really trying to do. The workshop was on smaller landscapes, so I was trying to focus on just smaller scenes. And this was just something I saw, and then in post, I decided to accentuate the water, just kind of bring it out, and just kind of do something weird and different, you know. So,
Are we surprised?
pardon?
Are we surprised?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Oops. Okay, we got 3 images. So bronze, we have Shelton Malzar, 2 steppers.
Oh, this was Gary's outing to go to Jarrell, Texas.
What was it, Gerald? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I love the image. I'm just shocked you didn't talk about the 2-stepping, the name of the photo. Look at the guy's feet and the horse's feet. Nobody said anything about that. Come on, guys.
Okay, and silver, we have me by City Limits.
Hey, look, Cody.
Yeah, so this is in Austin, obviously. So it's on South Congress. It was like a precision class, which wasn't that great actually, but we were sitting out here doing this, and so I was like, I love the street lamps. So that was what I was focusing on. And then I had these carts were coming by, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's way better than the tail lights. And so I got real low, got that, and yeah, I really liked it a lot. So yeah. Like 20 seconds or 30 seconds, I think I was doing.
Several cars.
20 or 30 seconds, I think.
You have a star filter, or is that just from the aperture getting the?
No, just the aperture. I had a circular polarizer on, I think, because I'm not sure if it really mattered in this shot, but it was helping a little bit to cut the exposure down. And then before this, there was it was helping to accentuate the sky and stuff with the clouds. So but that's it. So, but it was stopped down to f16, I think. Yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool. I was pretty excited when it showed up.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely kind of that album cover kind of look.
Yeah, and well, it's funny because like I thought about it too, and even when like it. See the future. I thought it was more like 80s themes. It's like when I was growing up, I was playing like Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. So I was like, oh, I really thought it was like Miami Vice. And then,
Phil Collins' "In the Air Tonight" was the song we mentioned.
so, yeah, that's what I was going with. But it was, to me, it was like either, yeah. Then in gold, we have Dennis Boserman, my best friend.
All right. Good microphone.
Well, the most amazing thing here was how she could balance the dog. Oh, she could balance the dog and her camera equipment and herself on that. And you run into weeds and mud and dirt and sticks and everything. And I pulled my zoom lens out real quick because I was way behind her. And I took the shot and it turned out good. I'm sorry?
This is Stand Up Paddle.
It's Caddo Lake.
You were also on a boat.
I was in a boat, yeah, a kayak. The dog's the best friend. I struggled with the title for it and I just couldn't come up with
Titles are
anything.
hard.
Yeah.
Titles are hard.
But anyway, I thought she was amazing to do that. And later on, I saw her way out, standing up, taking a shot. And I was like, oh my God, I wouldn't trust my own balance on something like that.
Not at my age, no.
No.
But
See how much great hair she has.
yeah,
That's what you got.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, good.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No, really wonderful.
So I'm feeling a little biased here. You had my vampire photo critiqued by a Christian.
It's a really wonderful set of images. I mean, really quite diverse across the landscape. Yes.
Gary, you want to talk about the differences between the People's Choice and?
The problem is where I landed in the judging this time, and I don't feel comfortable because I feel like it would kind of be defensive, and I don't really want to say anything about that, but he can.
Okay, Mark?
I'll try to sit for.
Sorry.
It's okay. One of the things that I found interesting is because I didn't know the People's Choice until yesterday, and we were really looking for lots of details around the images, and I think that the ones that kind of rose up to us might have been the ones that were either kind of a bit more processed or a bit more structured. And I think that showed up, and I think all the ones in the People's Choice are just wonderful, successful shots, and we really liked all of them. Yeah, and it was all just kind of fractions on either side. Yeah, really.
I got you. I really do like it when there is a difference between the judges and the People's Choice, because you can see kind of at first when you're doing People's Choice, oh, that's a cool photo, that's a cool photo. Well, the judges spend hours looking at the photo and they start looking at not just is it a cool photo, because almost all of them are cool photos. They start picking out the technical aspects and they start looking more into it. And there are some really good photos that are impressive by technique alone, even though the photo itself doesn't say, "Ooh, that's a cool photo." But if you've ever tried to take the photo, it's like, how the heck did they actually do that photo? And that is what the judges are looking at. And I really, really, really like it when there is a difference, because that's what we're all about, to learn different things. And why did you guys see it differently? Well, they do explain that whenever they're talking about, in their critiques. And so, after you've gone through and you've judged and you've got this whole idea of which ones you like the best, it's really cool to see somebody else's different opinion of why the photo you didn't take a second look at was actually kind of neat. Because I know that some of them, I'm going to throw Mr. Larry under the bus real fast, because there was a photo that he did take that some other people had been physically in that location. And they're like, how on earth did you do that photo? We know why you didn't take a step to the left or do this other thing, because there was some big giant obstruction. So he took a completely different approach than your generic, basic, what somebody who hasn't been there thought you might do. And they knew exactly which building it was because they had been there several times. And just, it's the most common photo, but, their whole approach, because they knew what he was working with. And just hearing that is really cool.
Yeah, what she said. Yeah,
what you said.
So at the top of your game, whatever that game is, look at the finals in the Olympics in the 100 meters. You're talking about a fraction of a second. And the same thing here, you notice that the discrepancies get bigger as you go up the chain. You know, we all kind of agreed on basic, and then it was a little diversity at intermediate, and then at advanced, we got completely different photos. Take 20 photos of yours or anybody's that you really like and rank them, and then come back in a month and re-rank them without knowing what the first one was. And you probably won't come up with the same set. You know, here you're literally looking at minutia.
Yeah. And I think, because it's only the second time I've judged. And so when I first looked at them, you know, in the first maybe 15 minutes, you know, before I got into the judging thinking, it was interesting because a number of the ones that were in the People's Choice, I was just really just very compelled by. I was like, oh, that is just really fantastic. And I love all the elements. It just kind of hits me instantly. Like there's really something there. And there absolutely is. And that was only kind of when we got into the multi-hour with the wine. That we're kind of really going into some, we don't know. Yes. Yes. And we've burned the recordings. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you, judges. Oh, we have one more taker.
It may be just me, but I was thinking that maybe we could, I was talking to Bill about it briefly before, that maybe we could move.
Wow. Wow.
That's true. Okay, I was wondering if we could move the submission date for photos for the month a week closer to the time that we're going to hear the critiques. It may be just me, but we don't need that extra time that we've had before, because before, the reason we moved it out was because PPA was going to judge the advanced category, and that's no longer happening. So I'm wondering if it would be possible to move it like a week closer.
But I don't know if you, I mean, actually.
I have had the same thought, just considering the fact that we're no longer using PSA judges. But I think now that we're using 3 judges and we're asking them to have a meeting and review the images, they may need the time, but it's certainly something we should evaluate.
We need to talk about that. Sure.
Yeah.
It's a fine idea. We'll consider it. Sure. Yeah.
I think what I normally see is the judges don't usually meet until I think y'all met on Sunday, like the week or Saturday, like the weekend before.
Right.
And then, so normally it's pretty close. It's like, we don't normally get everything settled 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, let's
Sometimes we may need to for scheduling reasons, right? That's the one thing is like.
Let's look at the calendar and see.
You know, like if some judge
yeah.
maybe they're traveling like the week of, and that may be hard, but.
Cody, the dates were originally chosen to allow time for the off-site judge.
Right.
To go through the images and communication.
Right.
And I think there's an opportunity to shorten it.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Thanks, everybody, though. Really, just, what a fun month.
Thank you,
Really,
judges.
fun.
Thank you. Thank you for all the people that showed up today. It's a real pleasure to have a crowd and great images.